Kitumia kule. Take wale ko maraka check mic.
Ya mic ya go.
Bishop. Bishop. Kumara. Ya na ko to na ro shop kana.
Remember Muruti like the
Shop.
Hey Mr. Isaac.
Ra.
Remember Kantela ka Muruti wa kira ruwa paket.
Era.
So I don't want to follow Muruti ana. You got to make sure that you stay as far as possible.
As far as possible is true. Era. I get it.
Mike.
One good ladil.
Huh?
One good. Test.
Sure.
Okay, retest Isaac.
Yeah, mic test. Mic test.
You know ready la gape ka go.
And you shop.
Kra kon.
Yeah, right.
No, just keep it is fine.
Right.
The phone is timilo again.
I was phone.
Yes.
Okay. Let's kill it. Timilo phone now.
Yeah, mic test.
Timilo phone.
One good.
Cheers.
One good. Mic
Phones
test.
off.
Perfect.
LT kisi ama kona.
Let me make sure.
What was that other? Were there any other comments from the stream? Please.
Tongue twister. Just if you could reduce a bit of tongue twisting, I think especially if when you talk about certain things, or the wig height on that thing, or this person listening, they might just struggle a bit. But that is the other comment. But the other one, gas and gate, which we have talked about.
Okay. And then those are the ones that just about the shadow. But in terms of talking as well, I think so far it was all good in terms of being able to stay one side and ensure that the camera is also able to follow.
Well, hello world. Hello Botswana. Welcome once again to an exciting session of the Botswana live stream. And in today's session, we find ourselves in the Makgadikgadi Ngaipan National Park, specifically in the Boteti area. To my right here, you find some of the largest salt pans in the world. And behind me, you find a very famous landmark, the Lukubu area. And to my right is the Boteti area. When you look behind me, this place might look very empty, but nothing could be far from that. This is an area that's very diverse, very rich in fauna and flora. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a game drive with somebody who's been in these areas for a very long time to see what we find out there, what's exciting out there. Please remember that we do have a live chat box on our social media platforms for any inquiries and any questions. Also remember that we do observe COVID protocols and we do enforce them. And having said that, let's go meet Isaac and find out what the bush has for us. Isaac.
Hello, Dancer.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, good, man.
Okay, welcome.
Good to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah.
So I'll be taking you for a game drive, and welcome to this place, Makgadikgadi. But before we go any further, let me just show you the map of where we are, and I'll show you how we drive through.
Excellent.
Okay.
Let's have a look at that map.
Perfect.
Wow, it's a very good detailed map.
So this is the map of Botswana up on the right corner, and just in the middle, the bigger part, that will be the map of Ngai and Makgadikgadi Pens National Parks. But if you look at the map on the right, top right, you can see in green, that will be Makgadikgadi and Ngai Pen National Park, the place that we are in. But we do most of we do our drive along the Boteti River here. So basically this is how the map looks like.
Yeah. And
you'll see also the roads that we have in the area. But besides that, let's just enjoy the drive.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Excellent. This is a very detailed map, Isaac. I'd like to keep it.
Just keep it safe.
Thanks.
Okay, let's slowly do our drive. So as we do our drive, you can enjoy and learn to appreciate the beauty of the area. But even before going any further, I think let me just explain few other things that make this place what it is today. Like, let's first and foremost, let's look at the trees around here. As bare as they are, leafless, and they seem to be lifeless. Like, a lot of people look at them and say, oh, are these trees dead? But they're not dead. It's only that this is a very hot area, and most of the trees, they will shed their leaves around this time in summer, preventing using more energy, sucking water, and losing it to the dry wind or air. So this is what is happening. But when the rain comes, all this place will be covered with or clothed with green. You see a lot of grass, you see a lot of leaves, trees getting their leaves back. So this is how it is. So let's slowly continue driving.
Yeah. So I can imagine once the rains come, all of a sudden these khaki brown colors will change and the area will be carpeted in green.
Definitely. And that's the time when everybody will feel, oh wow, I thought Makgadikgadi is just a desolate place, but it's not what people think of it.
Yeah.
And again, we should also appreciate or know that Makgadikgadi means a collection of, or Makgadikgadi pens, which we have here is a collection of pens, which constitute of 3 pens, in total, Ngai and Sewer pens. And those pens covers an area of around over 16,000 square kilometers.
Wow, that's big.
So it's a big area indeed.
Huh.
So in Makgadikgadi National Park, we have a good number of animals, mostly the zebras and elephants, giraffes. It depends on what you see as we drive, but you can really enjoy seeing all these diverse area of all these species here. Like from here, you can see those two. Okay, you can see those few zebras going up there. Those are quite beautiful. You can see how struggling they are. Not necessarily that they are struggling, it's because where they are going upstream. It's a bit elevated, and they're spending much energy going up there. But if they come down, it's much more easier because it slopes down towards the. It slopes down, but going up is something else. And that's the most beautiful animal that we have around this Boteti River.
Very interesting colors.
So contrasting colors.
Yeah.
But speaking of which, we do have a lot of zebras in this place. Makgadikgadi is said to be home to over 20,000 zebras, and the zebras that we have here, we refer to them as the plain zebras or the bachel zebras, and it's the common species we have in this place. They are said to be migrating between seasons. They can travel a very long distance between seasons, but we'll talk more about the zebras as we see them. Let's continue.
So yeah, estimated to be over 20,000. That's quite a big number.
It's a big number.
It must be interesting to see them, you know, in those larger groups with all that coloration.
Yeah, we believe as we continue with our drive, we'll get to see a good number of zebras. I'll let you know why we'll see. Why I assume that we'll see a good number of zebras, because there will be a pull and a push factor that makes the zebras to be where we are today.
Yeah.
So as we go down here, you can see that we start to see some water, and this water is the only source of life into the area. The water that we see here, this is the water of the Boteti River. Boteti River being a river that is just linked to the Okavango Delta, and the waters of the delta, when it's full, it overflows into Boteti. Then Boteti will take the waters all the way to the salt pen. There's one salt pen which you call Ntoto pens. These waters will go as far as that place, and being here, this water gives life to anything in this area, and it makes the bird life rich. It makes game or wild animals to also start moving towards this place, because that's the only place where they can find water around this place. If you look in the waters, you can see the green grasses, and this will be also a pull factor for these animals. They come drink water and they end up grazing on these green grasses, because it's quite palatable and nutritious. As we look on the other side, we find that the grasses have wilted, dried up, lost all the nutrients, but the grasses in the waters are still much more nutritious and much more palatable.
Yeah.
And that would be a pull factor for most of the animals. And all the animals that you find here, they need to drink water, be it on daily basis or once in 2 days, depending on the distance that they have to cover to find food. And without water, I believe most of these animals would have gone somewhere where they can find water.
Definitely. Yeah, it's amazing when you look ahead of us, the contrast of the green and the blue of the water and the serge grass this side, and then the contrast of the Kalahari sand and the dried up trees, which, as you have pointed out, are not necessarily dead, most of them, but have just wilted there or have lost their leaves to be able to save water.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting. Okay, let's continue. As you continue slowly, you get to appreciate the way the area is. It may seem to be more sandy, But remember, we're in the Kalahari. So Kalahari, this is the true Kalahari, and you have to appreciate being in Kalahari, the sandy area, but you can still drive through with ease. Okay, just quickly, having said, talked of the bird life. Oh, some birds seem to be.
To our viewers out there, that was, we almost saw cattle egrets, but they flew off. A bit skittish.
Yeah, it happens. Some of the birds tend to be a bit skittish, and we'll get to see more. We have this little bird here up on the log in the water. That's the African jacana. It's a very beautiful bird with a chestnut back. It has very long toes. That makes it to seem like it's walking on the water. And it basically walks on floating vegetation. Where there are lilies, it will walk on the lily pads. And this is a very, very interesting bird. So that some people, I've heard a lot of people nicknaming it the Jesus bird, but I don't know. That's what they call it, but we call it the African jacana. The other question will be asked: what does it eat? What is it looking for in the waters? It will look for little invertebrates that it can find, inclusive small fishes. That's what it will go for. So being also in the water like that, it's exposed to the birds of prey, and to constantly feed and look up in the sky, making sure that it's safe from the raptors.
It also has a very interesting breeding lifestyle, this bird, Isaac.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's one of those birds that's, to our viewers out there, this bird is quite interesting that it leads a life of a polyandrous lifestyle, whereby the female will mate with several males, lay the eggs, and then leave the male to go and mate with another male. And by the time, breeding season is over, she's mated with at least 3 to 4 males. And the males look after the eggs and the chicks. And this is because the environment that they survive in, it can be a little bit dangerous to the chicks, so they have to continuously breed to be able to keep the mortality rate of the chicks low.
That's very true. I remember seeing it the other time carrying about 4 chicks, and I was like,
wow.
oh wow. You could see those legs dangling.
So the little legs stick out.
The little legs sticking out, and it's like, oh wow, this is so interesting. So yeah, sometimes when you see these things and when you hear about them, you wonder whether it's, are you telling the truth or just making it up? But it's the reality of life.
Yeah, true, huh?
Okay, let's continue. So, like I said, in these waters, we have a lot of life. Here we have some fishes, we have some frogs, we have a lot of things in the water that is inviting to the good bird life that we have here. Okay. The other thing that I would love to point out to you is over this dead tree here. If you look at this dead tree, you can see the smooth trunk. So smooth that somebody will wonder, oh wow, what made this trunk to be so smooth? Yes, it happens if you look up there, you can see the mud. It happens that sometimes the animals will come down to the water and start, especially the elephants, spraying mud on themselves. Then they go to, we call these trees rubbing posts. They go there and start rubbing themselves, scratching their back to try and ease the itchiness that will be in their skin, and also trying to take off the parasites that might be in their skin. Their skin might be very thick, but it's very sensitive. So very thick and yet very sensitive, so that even a small, little, like even the ticks on their skin, they can feel it. So they have to go to those trees and scratch themselves to remove those parasites. The bark is off, and there's only the smoothness of the trunk.
So judging from the tree and how smooth it is, as you have pointed out, it would be safe to assume that, you know, there's particular animals that come through sort of on a similar pathway and use the same tree, and hence why that tree is now gone all very smooth as it is.
Very true. And again, they will not really push it down, because they try to do it carefully, because knowing that if it falls, tomorrow they have no rubbing post. So they have to take care of it also.
Smart.
Okay. We do have a lot of dead trees. Some of them are fallen to the ground. And yes, a lot of people will be wondering, oh, what is happening? Elephants and all the like, because most of the time people associate elephants with a lot of destruction. But some of these trees might have fallen off due to the winds. Like if you look at some of them, the trunks, they have no thick hard wood. It's off, and yes, definitely they'll end up falling to the ground. The most interesting thing here, if you can see, we have that palm tree. Like if you look at the palm tree up on top, you can see the nests. Some birds will try to nest on these trees, but if you look at the same tree, you think, okay, it's not so easy for an animal to go up and steal the eggs. Though it might be easy, but it's not always easy. That's why they would prefer to go way up to build their nest. And this tree, it's said that they've come from the elephants as they were moving around dispersing the seeds. Having said that, let's drive, but in front of us we have 2 vehicles coming. Those vehicles coming, in our park we have also the self-drivers that have the audacity to drive through, and you know, we appreciate that we also have people coming, driving themselves to see the beauty of nature in our national parks.
Okay, so this is, self-driving is also part of the activities that can take place here for people that want to come and drive themselves and experience the adventure.
Yes. As you continue, you can see some birds. Like, let's look at the blacksmith lapwing over there by the water. If you look at it closely, it's standing right where the elephant dung is, and you can see it's trying to see if it can find something to feed on. The elephant dung is so interesting because elephants cannot digest everything that they eat. So the lapwings will also try and look for the undigested food that the elephant might have left out or dropped to the ground, and that's what they will be busy looking around for. And some birds will go to an extent of scratching the ground, scratching the elephant dung, looking for anything that they can find and eat. On the left of the lapwing, we have spare-winged goose. Those are 2 big birds you can see over there. They also come here and enjoy themselves. Like I said, where there's water, there's life. A lot of bird life. You can see we have a rich bird life in the area. And if you look around the waters, you can see quite a number of birds. For the birders, this is the time where you can enjoy a lot of birds. Okay, let's continue.
This is also the time, talking of birds, you know, where a lot of the migratory birds will start coming down to southern Africa because it's warming up into Botswana.
Definitely. Sooner we'll start having the woodland kingfishers, such as the woodland kingfishers, because that's the time when the rain will soon come, and we start having a lot of birds that will come through to start finding food in our areas. And I've seen also the yellow-billed kite. You can see that most of the birds are starting to come down to our country. Okay. As you continue, you get to see beautiful trees and the guinea fowl on the roads are busy looking for food.
Yeah, I can see some of them.
So, like you can see those guinea fowls we have over there, those we call them the helmeted guinea fowls. The helmeted guinea fowls, because of the bony casque that you can see on top of their heads, that's what gives them the helmet. I think it's a beautiful helmet anyway. You can also see the bluish color on their heads and neck. The darker the blue color is, the more nutritious food these birds will get. Sometimes you find that the bluish colors does not really pop, and you can really tell that it has less nutritious food in the area where it's found. So it's quite common to see the helmeted guinea fowls in the place. Sometimes we call them the Botswana wild chickens. The other thing I want to show you quickly, having said birds will sometimes scratch the elephant dung looking for undigested material, let me just show you how the elephant's digestive system to some extent will be like looking at the dung. Oh, don't worry, I can hold this, it's nature. So sometimes you have to appreciate everything that you see in nature. I believe this dung is so beautiful. Okay, one interesting thing is I just picked this out. This is a small branch that the elephant chewed, and you can see it's not digested. You just left it as it is. So if you had to break it, like you can see, you can easily see a lot of undigested thing. Some people use the elephant dung to wade away mosquitoes. They just burn it, and the smoke, they believe that it will just get rid of the mosquitoes. Well, I haven't tried it though, but from other people's experiences. But in general, the elephant digests about 40% of what it eats, and 60% comes out undigested. So you can see it has to eat a lot, to eat around about plus or minus 150 kilograms of vegetation, depending on the size of the elephant. And it will defecate a lot of it undigested, most of it undigested. So it has to get more food to propel that massive body. Thank you, elephant. Okay, as we continue, some of the things that we'll see here are much more interesting because life begins from the little things. When I was talking about the dead trees, and somebody will say, okay, what is happening with all these dead trees? But one thing I want to point out is that all these dead trees will turn out to be food to some species of animals or life. We have the dry wood termites. Dry wood termites will basically feed on the dead wood or dead matter because those dry wood termites can easily digest the lignin of the plants. So they'll always feed on these dead trees. And the dead wood will also be shelter to some species, be it snakes, be it some squirrels, be it the mongoose. They take cover on those dead trees.
So I notice also, Isaac, that, you know, when we look inside the river where the water is actually flowing, that there's some tree stumps that are still standing. And then when you look on this side, there's trees that have fallen down. You know, so you see like over there, there's quite a few tree stumps. Yes.
Of which I forgot to mention, if you look at those tree stumps there, this river sometimes it dries up. There's a time when it dried up, I think, for about 20 years. And those are the times when most of the plants will start growing where the river is. And when the water comes, depending on the amount of water that will be in the river, most of the trees will be waterlogged and they will choke and die. That's the reason why you have a lot of stumps in the waters and dead fallen trees. That is because they've been there for some time, and as the water came, they died off. But in comparison to what we see on the other side, some of them would have fallen due to strong winds. Like if you look around, you hardly get to see big trees, of which when strong winds comes, they'll easily fall over. Some of them is just due to the fact that they do not have a strong hard wood, which will easily make them fall over. And again, the soil here is much more sandier, so that if the roots are not deep enough, the tree will not be able to withstand strong winds that will be blowing through. Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
As you continue, you will find that there are certain tree species that dominates the area. Some of the species of trees that dominates the area will be the acacias, will be also the, let's quickly look at this one here. Yeah, we can just look at the other one, the next one anyway. I'll show you the next one. We have the acacias, we have the sickle bushes, we have the camel thorns, which is part of the acacias. Those are the dominant tree species in this place. The question will be, why are they the dominant species in the area? Well, these trees, if you look at their leaves, they can withstand the harsh weather or the heat in the area, because their leaves are so small, so that the surface area of their leaf will not lose much water as compared to the broader leaves. That's the reason I find that most of the broader leaved trees around, as soon as summer comes or winter comes into summer, they shed their leaves quickly. Okay, let's just keep driving. Quickly, let me show you what I was talking about on the acacia tree. There are a number of things that you can appreciate when it comes to the acacia trees. Like I was talking of the leaves, the size of leaves, they're quite thin, very small, and the surface area is very, very small, and they lose less water as compared to the broader leaves, which will lose more water. And again, these are highly nutritious trees. The acacia trees are highly nutritious, so that you get the browsers coming forth and browse on these trees. And remember, trees also have got their way of protecting themselves. Like with these tree species, they've developed the modified leaves, which we call thorns. And these thorns, sharp, pricky, will prevent the animals from over browsing, because they will only nibble on the softer part of the leaves where the thorns are still young and not so strong to prick through, and that's what they will go for. But the harder part, they will try and avoid. So most of the giraffes, the impalas, the kudus, they will just go for these trees and start browsing on it.
It also has a very hard wood, the camel thorn.
It does.
Yeah. I know growing up, we used to use the roots for medicinal purposes, especially if you had tummy cramps or you had like pains in the stomach. They would boil the roots and then make you drink the liquid. I don't know if they do that in...
Yeah, I've tried that.
Yeah.
I remember the time when I had a stomach problem, and then I was asked to go and do that, but it works. Yeah, speaking of which, Justin, it's most of the plants and trees that we have here, our great-grandparents, they've been using them medicinally. Even today, some people still do the same, and it really works. Yeah, as you drive, you can see most of the trees are starting to get green. Even when you look around, they're getting green. Because we've approached our springtime, or we're in our springtime, and most of the trees are getting greener. Then you can just see how things will change as soon as the rain comes.
I think on our right there's a bird, a red-billed hornbill.
Yeah, we have a red-billed hornbill.
Oh, it just took off.
Just took off. That is the red-billed hornbill, one of the hornbills that we have. We have about 5 hornbills in our country, which are quite common. The red-billed hornbill being one of them. We also have the yellow-billed hornbill. We have the Bradfield's hornbill, and we have the grey hornbill and the ground hornbill. The 6th one, you can only find it in the small portion in the up north along the Chobe River, which is called the trumpeter hornbill. So you can't find it here. So you can only find it along the Chobe River. So in Makgadikgadi, you can find the red-billed, the yellow-billed, the grey, and the ground hornbill. The 4 you can find here. So it's so interesting again that as you drive slowly, you may get to see some animal coming down to the water.
So it's that time of the evening where the last numbers of animals will come through and drink before they retire back into the forest area.
That's very true. And I believe we'll get to see 1 or 2 of them, a number of them coming down to drink. And that will be very, very beautiful to watch. The other thing which is very, very important here is that the place that we find ourselves in is so uniquely positioned because it's right in the center of the Kalahari. And Kalahari, the Makgadikgadi being in the center of the Kalahari, it's the one place where a lot of people have least explored it because they consider it to be a bit far or desolate, but there's a lot of life here, a lot of game life, a lot of bird life in the place. So, and like I said, with the river on our back, on the other side, it brings more life, and you get to see more game, more animal coming through. Like you can see slowly, as we wait here, we'll get to see the zebras coming down to find some water. We'll just wait for them as they will come down to drink. Like having said that again, in this place you have up to around 20,000 zebras that will migrate to Botiti River to find food and water. The main source or the main thing that drives them here will be the water. Though there's less green grasses, but water is very, very essential or important for them. So let's just wait for them. You can see their heads sticking out, but they will soon come down. The other thing is that because they know where they are going, and they have to really assess the situation, and make sure that it's safe before they can come down. The question will be, safe from what? You know, in every area there are some predators. It might be the lions, it might be something else, mainly the lions, but they have to make sure, scan the surrounding and make sure that there's nothing coming down or coming their way.
To everybody joining us here, if you look on the ridge where the river normally in full spate would flood, there's a herd of zebras slowly making their way down. And it's a good thing that Isaac has parked here, because as much as they know we don't pose any danger to them, they are still inquisitive and do have to make sure before they come down. But how's that light catching them on that ridge?
Yeah, so beautiful.
The colors just come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lovely animal. The other thing that you have also to know is that a zebra is our national animal. I mean, we ought to have done the worst mistake to fail and point it out that this is our national animal, the most beautiful animal that we have in our country. Those stripes, the white and black, symbolizing or showing off the union between the races that stays or lives in our country. So it's very, very beautiful. I believe you'll see at some point, even if it's a bit distant, you can't see it, but in its forehead, it has like a diamond shape. And it goes without being said that diamond is one of the most precious mineral in our country. That is the backbone of our economy. So is our tourism.
Wow, you can see the lines keep on trickling down from the top. And they seem to be following one another at an exact same sort of plotted route.
That's very true, because if you look again at the zebras, they'll be led either by the stallion or the trusted female who will take them. The stallion can lead from the back or can lead from the front, depends on the situation. And you can see a number of youngsters, the foals that were born like either this year or late last year. They've grown, and that's the time when they also start learning the routes, the routes that they have to go, and food, where they can find food and water. So that next time, even when anything happens to their parents, they will still know where to go.
So it's knowledge passed on from, the older generation animals, just like we do as humans.
Exactly. So slowly they're coming down. Sometimes they'll come down running and they'll be throwing dust in the air, which is a spectacle to watch. Like some of them are busy scanning the surrounding before they can come down. So let's, until they're a bit settled, we'll just try and drive closer, avoid that bush which is obscuring us, hoping we can get to see them in a much better way. Okay, let's try and see.
Wow.
So perfect. They're very thirsty from a very long day. The other interesting thing is that somebody will say, okay, now they're just going into the water. Will they be killed by the crocodiles or something? Yes, we do have crocodiles in these waters, but these zebras are in the shallow waters, of which you need a very big crocodile to take down a zebra. So where they are, currently they are safe, but you can see the other ones just looking around. They constantly look around to make sure that they are safe from any danger.
I think I would advise anybody who, especially from the photographic world, if you look at the coloration, if you look at the contrast of the colors in which the animals are drinking, this make for perfect photography subjects.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very, very true.
It almost looks like just a pile of black and white that's just been put on one another. You can't really see.
You can't break the borderline of which.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why they call it a dazzle. Because they will dazzle your eyes. You try to look and make the border of each zebra, and if you were to count, you will not even tell how many zebras you can see there.
Exactly.
So we get more still coming down.
And it's amazing as well that, you know, like you've explained, they're plain zebra, and we know that they're black and white with stripes and shadow stripes, but you know that each pattern is so different from one zebra to the other.
Yeah, just like our fingerprints. So each zebra has got its own stripes, and also the foals. When the zebra gives birth, it will stay with its foal until it gets these prints imprinted into his brain, the mother's prints imprinted into his brains, so that it will not lose or miss its mom, or else it will go missing for the rest of his life. So it's quite interesting that zebras will stay together in a group which you call harem, led by a stallion, and still those patterns, they can still identify each other using the patterns or the stripes that they have. The other question that a lot of people always ask, is it black or white with black? Okay, I don't know, you can deduce whatever you think.
I'll tell you what I think. But Isaac, I don't know if our viewers out there can hear a whistling sound in the background.
Oh yeah. Let's listen. That's the pearl spotted.
What's that?
The pearl spotted owlets.
Oh, excellent.
So sometimes people say owls move in the night, but you can also hear them daytime.
Yeah.
Without forgetting, look at the zebras. They were just chasing each other. After drinking, they start moving. And also, like you said, sometimes it's worth it to just keep quiet and listen to Mother Nature speak to you. Like you can hear the birds, you can hear the hooves of zebras in the water.
And it sounds like that the call from that pearl-spotted owlet has started a chain reaction, because I can also hear them in the distance there now.
Yeah. So we're getting more zebras coming down. Or just wait a little while to have a look at them.
So we're parked in a perfect spot here. The light is perfect. The activity around us is getting busier and busier. So we're hearing the owlets calling in the far distance. Unfortunately, our viewers at home and across the world can't hear it, but there's movement in the water of zebras moving along the banks of the river, as we can see the ones coming in front of us.
Wow. See all that dust as they come down.
Yeah.
As thirsty as they are. So the interesting thing is that different families or different herds will meet at the water point, but when they leave, they just go as per their small groups. Like you can see, some will be coming from a different area. They come from different points or different areas.
Yeah.
But when they leave, they just go their separate ways.
But like we were saying earlier as well, you know, there's a stallion with his own harem. But remember, the first group came down in its own line. The groups coming, there's two groups coming that side, and each one of them are following a specific animal to the waterhole along the same footpath.
That's very true. So the other thing is that most of the zebras now, they're heavily pregnant, and when the rain comes, their gestation period it will be like 11 and a half to 12 months. But when the rain comes, they'll start giving birth. And like I even said, that they do migrate north to south. Like when the rain comes, they will migrate from north coming to south. This what we see here, they will go to the east, to the salt pans. That's where they will go, and that's the place where they will give birth, in the salt pans. And when it dries up around March, April, they start heading to this place. You can see their movement pattern, so you can really enjoy the migration at the specific time, at the right time, seeing them move. I remember that was March, I think March 2020. I saw the zebras coming for the first time. I was like, wow, you know, I was like the most excited person because I saw the first migration. So
Never a dull moment in the bush. Every day is different.
Every day is different.
Yeah, we learn something new every day too. Yeah, there's still one or two at the top there, but yeah.
I think having seen the zebras, let's just slowly continue and see if we can find something different.
Sure. Wow.
Remember earlier we spoke of elephants rubbing themselves on the rubbing posts?
Yeah.
And somebody will be wondering, what are these holes for? These are where the elephants have dug to do mud bathing before they can go scratch themselves on the rubbing posts. Oh, look at the zebras. So we try and drive as slow as we can, not to disturb them much, but at some point they will have to move a little bit away, but we'll try not to disturb them much.
To everybody joining us out there, what Isaac is saying is that zebras need to come and drink water. They will come and drink water every time they can. However, they are not an aquatic animal or an aquatic species. They are more comfortable on dry land. We're going to slowly, gently edge our way up. And us getting between them and the forest where they feel safer, they will move up slightly up just to be sure that they're safe. And once we've moved on, they will get back to finish drinking again.
Yeah, Dawson, I think we'll have to wait here for a little while. We can see some giraffes also coming down.
Wow.
Heading in the direction of the zebras. So giraffes, sometimes they don't necessarily need to drink on a daily basis. They can spend some time without water, because looking at the vegetation of the vegetation that they consume, they mainly browse on the leaves, green leaves, of which they will still get the moist that they deserve from the green trees or green leaves. In areas where water is readily available, they'll try also and drink, be it on daily basis, because water is readily available. But in places where water is scarce, they can spend some time without drinking water. The secret lies with, if you look at their droppings, it's like small pellets. They try and suck out all the moist from the pellets at the colon. And that also helps them to minimize wastage of water.
Look at that. Look at that. The giraffes are also drinking.
Yeah, it's a very tall animal. It has to splay or open its forelegs in order to gain access to the ground. It's a very funny way of drinking. Sometimes people will say, what happens to a giraffe drinking? Considering its high pressure, blood pressure, which is said to be around 200, the systolis is about 260, then you start to wonder, okay, what will happen when it drinks water and the head is lowered below the heart?
Yeah.
But it's so interesting to learn that at the end of the day, there are a lot of capillaries or blood vessels that narrows or slows down the pressure as the blood goes into the brain. And again, I think I wish we could see the patterns of the giraffe. And the giraffes that we have here, we refer to them as Southern giraffe or South African giraffe. This is the only species of giraffe that we have here. And you can tell male from female from a distance by looking at their, a lot of people refer to it as horns, but we call it ossicles. Because as an embryo, they still have that same cartilage, and it starts ossifying to the skull. That is after birth. That's when it's become solid bone and glued to the skull, becoming a solid bone. It's really called ossicles, not horns. Horns we refer to animals that have, like, it's a bone structure inside covered with keratin, like the impalas, the buffaloes, the kudus. Those are the animals that have true horns.
Yeah.
The other thing, if you look closely, when you see the giraffe drinking water, when it lifts up the head, it's like it's spraying water or splashing the water. Yeah. And I know that everybody will be like, okay, how does that happen? According to the study that was done, it's like a giraffe has got what they would call a plunger pump behind the tongue, which will push water all the way, preventing it from coming back. As it lifts up the head, what you see splashing, it will be the little water that will be in its mouth. That's what will come out.
Well, if my neck was that long and I had to go down that low to drink water, I'd definitely need a plunger pump in my mouth as well to be able to push the water in. But I'll tell you something. I have always wanted to get a photograph, get a shot with this perfect light. Preferably if the giraffes were on this side of the zebras, and as it drinks, as it pulls up with that spray, because I can just imagine the way the light would play on that splash as it lifts its head up.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Like even when you look at it now, we have in the foreground we have the zebras,
yeah,
and in the background we have the giraffes. So contrasting.
Yeah, the wealth of the wildlife driving around here. We're going on a game drive, but already we've seen so much interaction. You don't really even have to drive that far. You just, park there and everything will unfold in front of you.
Welcome to safari.
Ah, thanks, man. Yeah, you can see the little foals.
Yeah.
Not wanting to stay too far away from them.
So they're just following closely behind their moms.
Yeah. That is a perfect picture.
It is.
Yeah.
So wonderful. You can see how lined up they are.
It's beautiful.
Like remember I was talking of the ossicons.
Yeah.
And the difference between a male and a female. Like I said, it lies from a distance. It lies with their ossicons. The ossicons of a male will be thicker, longer, and they're bold on top. Because when they fight, they do what we call necking, swinging their heads, hitting each other. And that's the reason why they lose the tuft on top of their ossicons. And that's one thing you can see from a distance and you can tell that one is a male, that one is a female. Yeah. Like we look at the one standing facing this direction, it's a female. Looking at the ossicons, they are thinner. Yeah. And the one closest here, it seems to be a younger male. Because the ossicons, it's also a female. Oh. Sorry, it's also a female. They are quite thin.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can imagine why they would be, sort of loose from the skull when they're born, because it's the only animal that's born with those cartilages, like you were saying, that are still there. So it would be a very uncomfortable birth for the mother to give birth to a calf with horns already developed, or ossicons as we call them.
Yeah, the other thing, explaining of giraffe, the zoological name is Camelopardalis. Camel, like the camel that you know. Pardus is a leopard. Sometimes they've nicknamed it an animal that is putting on a leopard skin, or a camel that is putting on a leopard skin. Like possibly looking at the structure and the hump that it has, just like a camel.
Well, that would be a very big leopard. I wouldn't want to encounter a leopard that big, Isaac.
Yeah, look at the pattern or the pattern that it has. Yeah. Just like the spots of a leopard. Yeah. So when they run, you can see they curl their tails to keep balance.
Elegance.
And they can run at a speed of around 60 kilometers per hour.
Yeah. But that movement is it's almost like somebody's recording them in slow motion.
Exactly. It's a very big animal, so that when it runs, even when it's fast, it will always seem like it's very moving at a slow pace.
Wow, that was interesting.
Okay.
Thanks, Isaac.
You're welcome.
Wow.
Let's just see what you can find.
Oh, this turned out to be an extremely rich game drive, yeah.
It is. Always beautiful to see all this happen. I'll just stop somewhere here, then we can see the zebras from a different angle.
Yeah. How's that light on those animals, huh?
Yeah, it's so beautiful. So having had their water, now they're heading up to go find more food. Yeah, now I believe you can see the diamond shape in their forehead.
Yeah.
And look at that mane. And the tail swatting away all the flies.
Yeah.
The other thing is, why do zebras have stripes? That's the most important question that a lot of people ask. Why do the zebras have stripes? Well, it will be an issue of blending to maybe other issues. But one thing which I found, which was much more interesting, is that, like I said, a group of them is called a dazzle. They say also is that it helps in preventing flies from sitting on them and sucking blood from them, because it also, like, it dazzles even the flies, and they'll always avoid sitting on the giraffes. I mean on the zebras. But it's quite interesting. When they are in the bush, they can easily blend.
Wow.
Okay. Let's just continue. I think one of them is...
Yeah. You know, we've just driven through where those zebras were drinking and the giraffes, and I'm going to try and explain the scent. You know, it's almost like we're in a stable. We've got that slight breeze coming out from the water through where the zebras and the giraffes were drinking. There's also the scent of sage that's coming out down from the water bank, the river bank, and it's amazing just to be able to hear the sounds and smell the scents as well that are out here.
Wow, so interesting. You know, in nature this time around you can pick a lot of scents.
Yeah.
A lot of small, like from the water.
Yeah.
And like you said, the breeze, you can feel it, and the sun is about to go down.
Exactly.
Then you can really pick that breeze.
Yeah, yeah. But also the acacias are in bloom, so every once in a while, when you pass one that's already got flowers, you know, you get hit with that sweet smell of the acacia flowers.
Very true. Okay, this is the Botete River. We just wait here and see what you can find.
Yeah. No, excellent. Or if you just sit quietly and listen.
Yeah, that would be the perfect thing to do.
To everybody joining us on today's live stream, we're going to sit here for just a few seconds so you can listen. We can hear some francolins, which are now called spur fowls, calling in the distance there. We can still hear zebras walking in the water in the back. There's also, you know, as Ollie has said, that this is it's a park where a lot of people also come through on self drives, which is a very popular activity. Driving with your 4x4 and being able to see wildlife like we just witnessed. All right, Ollie, Isaac, that was a beautiful game drive. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, sir.
Wow. Wow. And to everybody that joined us on today's game drive, from wherever you may be sitting, that was extremely special. Where we started to where we ended. The different and the diverse game that we saw, the wealth of knowledge, to have been able to drive along this river that at one point everybody thought it would never come through. Remember, folks, that this river is one of the only rivers of its magnitude that flows through 3 countries, eventually draining off into Botswana, into the pens that are behind me and sort of to my right here, and in an area called Lake Khao. It's very humbling to be standing here, to be watched by all these trees, or to be watching these magnificent, gigantic acacias and leadwood, like sentinels watching over us. It makes me wonder, what mysteries could they help us solve? What secrets could they tell us? And don't forget to join us on our next session, where we will be in the Central Kalahari Game Reserve. Also remember to log on to www.botswanalive.co.bw. Also remember that we do have a live chat. For all your inquiries and all your questions, please direct them to our site on our botswanalive.co.bw site. Having said that, I hope you enjoy your evening. This is Dawson Ramsden signing off. Are you?
Botswana Live.